Well, as in my introduction video, I discussed that I had a salvage vehicle that I rebuilt and now have a rebuilt title on. Um, when I went about doing that, I couldn't find much information online about how to change a Louisiana title from salvage to rebuilt. Um, so I learned it all myself through research, but I figured it would probably be helpful if I did a quick video and did a write-up on how you actually go about doing that. So my story is I drive about 72 miles to work, give or take, plus going to lunch and all that. So I put a fair amount of miles on a vehicle, plus my daily driver was the F-150, which gets about 14 or 15 miles per gallon because it's four-wheel drive and it's got big tires on it and all that good shit. So I wanted to get something smaller that I could get better gas mileage with. So I started looking, and I really didn't want to spend $8,000 or $10,000 on a car that already had 100,000 miles on it. And so I was watching some YouTube, and I saw some guys buying cars on Copart. So I figured, can't be that hard. I'm slightly mechanically inclined, so hell, I could do that. So I set up an account at Copart, and then I watched and I watched and I watched, and I'm a Ford guy, so I kept looking for Fusions and Focuses. I didn't want a Fiesta; they looked a little too small. And I was looking for something that had, 60,000 miles or less, which means probably a 2 or 3 year old car. And I didn't want anything that was really tore up in a wreck, so I kept an eye out, and I wasn't too concerned about aesthetics. And lo and behold, I finally came across a Ford Fiesta or Ford Focus that was at our local Copart that was going to be coming up for auction. It hadn't been in an accident. We actually had tornadoes here in Louisiana in February, and it had been beaten up in the tornado um, by flying debris. So it wasn't in a collision. The airbags hadn't gone off. The engine the engine ran. It drove, when the insurance company totaled it, it just was aesthetically displeasing. It had cracked mirror, it had a smashed in fender, it looked like a tree had fallen across the roof, shingles had flown across the hood, and it was slightly dented on every panel, with the exception possibly of the trunk lid and maybe the rear bumper cover. So I'm like, okay. So I, sight unseen, because it only had 60,000 miles on it, I bid on it, and I won the car. And then I got the car home, assessed it, and it seemed pretty decent. It ran. I could drive it around in the driveway, but it stunk like high heavens inside. So I took a day and I just scrubbed the interior, vacuumed it out, shampooed the seats. Evidently whoever had it had a small child, because I found a ton of Cheerios under the back seat. There was food stuck to the seat, which was what was causing the smell. So, long story short, I got it all cleaned out. I got one of those smell absorbers. I put it in, and then I started looking at getting parts and all that I needed that I couldn't fix. The one major part was a right front fender, which I was able to purchase online for like $70. It was incredibly cheap. So, with that said, I got it all going. I got the mechanical parts done so that it was safe to drive. Oh yeah, and I did the front brakes because they hadn't done the front brakes yet, which was a total. I think I spent $80 on that. Brand new rotors, pads, um, you know. So safe car. Air conditioning works great, better than any of the other vehicles we have, which says something. And I was ready to go. So what I had to do is, from Copart, I had a bill of sale and a salvage title from the insurance company to Copart, which signed it over to me. So I had a salvage title, a bill of sale, And then the next step I had to do was get the vehicle inspected by the State Patrol. They inspect it to make sure that the VIN matches the vehicle, so it's not a stolen vehicle or anything like that. So I physically loaded the car up on a trailer, took it to the state police, and they did what they call an affidavit of physical inspection. So they checked my title, or the salvage title, against the VIN numbers in a couple places on the vehicle to ensure that it wasn't stolen, which it was not, because I had the whole bill of sale, I had the title, so it went pretty quickly. They didn't inspect it for safety, they didn't inspect it for anything. They were just checking to make sure it wasn't a stolen vehicle. They gave me that form at that time. They're great about it. Evidently, the troop that here where I live, they only do it Monday through Thursday from 8 to 4. So, and they said to call ahead before you go to make sure that the gentleman that does the inspection was there. So I did that, and I took it, got it inspected, and got my paperwork. So they also told me that if at all possible, that sometimes they can actually send a car out to go look at it if they're having a slow time. So they said in the future, if I wanted to, I could call them up and see if anybody was available to come look at it, so I didn't have to physically take them. So I said thank you, I appreciate it. And so anyways, so then I had the affidavit of physical inspection, the bill of sale, and the notarized or the salvage title. So the next thing I needed to do was get insurance. So one of the things that I hadn't done, and you should probably check into in whatever state you're in, what I hadn't done was go and call my insurance company and ensure that they would insure a salvage title car, or reconstructed, rebuilt title car. So I called Geico. Thanks, Geico. And they said, no problem. We will give you full coverage if you need it, comprehensive, towing, all that on a rebuilt title, a reconstructed title. I'm like, well, I have so little money into the car. I really only want to get a liability only. So I got a liability. So then with Geico, you automatically get it in your phone. You got your insurance cards. So the next step was I could go to the DMV, which is always no fun here in the state of Louisiana. Not bashing them, but it's never any fun. And then I took it to a local auto car title place, which has a partnership with the DMV. I think their computers are tied in. I'm not sure all the details. So I took my insurance, my affidavit of physical inspection, my bill of sale, and the salvage title into the title place. Sat down with the gentleman. He looked at all my paperwork, which was in order, and then there was a couple other forms I had to sign. Oh yeah, the other thing I took was a list of the items that I had purchased to put on the vehicle with the receipts, because they want to make sure that you're not using stolen parts to rebuild a car that isn't stolen. So anyways, since I bought my parts through the internet or at AutoZone or Advanced Auto, I had my receipts. So anyways, he took all that, and then you have to fill out a form that that gets notarized that says you've rebuilt it, and that you declare that it is a salvage title vehicle, and that it hasn't flooded, which it did not. And then you fill out a form to apply for a new title, and then they package it all together, and they send it to the DMV. Well, he can put all that in the computer right there, and he was able to print me off a registration and to give me a plate. Well, not give me, I paid for it. So now I have a fully road legal vehicle with insurance, with plates. The final step was then to go pass a safety inspection. Here in Louisiana, it's called a brake tag inspection. So I went home, put my new plate on, put my insurance and registration in the glove box, jumped in my now legal car, and I drove it and got a brake tag, which I got a 2-year brake tag, which was $20. And, the turn signals work, the brakes work, the horn works, everything works. And so for a very, very small amount of money, I was able to purchase a 3 or 4 year old car now, with 60,000 miles, and couldn't be happier. I've put a couple thousand miles on it, and some days, depending on the weather and the wind, I can get up to 40 miles per gallon with my Focus. It's a 2 liter with an automatic transmission. Some days it's as low as 32 miles per gallon, if I have a headwind going into work. So long story short, it was very worth it for me, and I think it's worth it for anybody. Now, I don't think it has as much retail value as a non-rebuilt title. I don't think this would be a good thing if you're trying to, I guess you could probably make a little bit of money trying to get it all back legal and then flip it. I got a car that I know I'm going to use for quite a while, that I can use every day. I can get a lot of mileage out of, get a lot of use out of, and altogether, I think I spent less than $3,000 total between registration, buying the car, fixing the car up. I'm gonna have some more videos of the car because I never fixed the aesthetics because I really didn't care. But from now on, I'm gonna work a little bit on fixing some of the dents and dings and the ugly stuff that happened to the car that caused it to be totaled. But it doesn't impact the fact that I can drive it every day, and enjoy isn't the word, but it gets me from point A to point B, and you can't ask for more than that. If you like this video, please like, subscribe, watch it, do whatever you can, spread it around, let people know, and I'm gonna keep trying to make these stuff that's informative and helpful. I do whatever I can. So have a great day. And also, I'm gonna put a link in here to my blog where I've written this all out, and there's a couple of the forms incorporated into there, so you can see what the forms actually are. And also then my blog, if you read that and came here, thanks for following the link, and everybody have a great day. Bye. My Copart work car. Budget work car. Looks like it's gone through hell backwards, on fire, but it's only got 60,000 miles on it, and it's got a lot of superficial damage, but it wasn't in an accident per se. It was in a tornado, so it was struck by a lot of flying debris. So we'll see what we can do. And as a matter of fact, the interior is terrible, and so that's what I'm going to do today, is figure out why the door won't open and clean it up. Put the windows down. And as you can tell from the interior, it was a shit. Whoever had it didn't take very good care of it. Best way I could put it. It's disgusting. So, we'll get it cleaned up.